All right, let's delve into the science of choices. You make them every day, right? What bland cereal to inflict on yourself this morning? Which soul-crushing news app to doom scroll first? Whether to finally wear those slightly too tight trousers to work because, hey, aspirational. These feel like decisions. You, the captain of your own destiny, the master of your domain, the slightly bewildered person trying to find matching socks. It's a comforting thought, isn't it, that you're in control, that your life is a product of your own volitions, your brilliant or occasionally disastrous ideas. But what if... And stay with me here, this is where it gets a bit tinfoil hatty, but in a fun, oh God, he might be right kind of way. What if that feeling of control is, well, a bit of an illusion? What if you're less the driver of your life's car and more like a passenger who's been given a toy steering wheel to keep them quiet in the back seat? You can turn it left, you can turn it right, you can even make vroom vroom noises, but the car's still going where the actual driver, the brain's subconscious processes, wants it to go. It's a rather unsettling thought, like discovering your favorite brand of biscuits is actually owned by a company that also makes, I don't know, industrial solvents. We like to think we're special. Unique snowflakes charting our own course through the blizzard of existence. But how much of what you choose is genuinely choosing? And how much is a carefully constructed set of options presented by forces far bigger than your desire for a particular brand of coffee? Forces like society, government, culture, the relentless algorithm that seems to know you better than your own mother. These aren't necessarily evil, shadowy figures cackling in a volcano lair, though that would be more exciting, frankly. So, the big question, the one that keeps philosophers up at night and makes the rest of us vaguely uncomfortable during ad breaks, is free will the real deal? Or is it the ultimate cosmic prank? Are we truly agents of our own lives, or are we just incredibly sophisticated automatons, convinced of our independence while marching to a beat drummed by others? Buckle up, because we're about to take a long, hard and slightly sarcastic look at whether you're actually choosing the path, or if the path has already been chosen for you. So, free will. It sounds grand, doesn't it? Like something a bald eagle would screech about while soaring over a canyon. But what does it actually mean? In its simplest, non-philosophy textbook form, it's the idea that we can choose between different possible courses of action without being, forced. It's the capacity to say yes to the extra slice of cake, or no to helping your friend move a sofa on a Saturday morning based on your own internal desires and reasoning. It's that little voice in your head that says, I want this, or I'm going to do that, and then sometimes you actually do it. Amazing, I know. Now, why do we care so incredibly much about this concept? Well, it's pretty fundamental to almost everything we think makes us human. Our entire legal system, for instance, is largely built on the idea that people are responsible for their actions because they choose to do them. You can't really blame someone for robbing a bank if they were just a meat puppet controlled by, say, a rogue squirrel, can you? Morality too. Good deeds, bad deeds, they only really count if you had the option to do otherwise. It's the difference between a hero and a particularly well-programmed Roomba. This belief in our own agency, our power to choose, is also incredibly important for our sense of self. It's what allows us to feel pride in our achievements. I worked hard for that slightly above average performance review, or conversely, to feel a sense of responsibility to change when we mess up. Perhaps I shouldn't have eaten the whole cake. Without free will, we're just passengers on a ride with no real say in the destination, and frankly, that's a bit depressing. It makes life feel like one long, unskippable cutscene in a video game you didn't even choose to play. But here's the rub, the uncomfortable itch in the back of your mind. What if this cherished notion, this bedrock of our existence, is more of a psychological comfort blanket than a hard-hitting reality? What if the feeling of making a choice is just the brain's way of making sense of actions that were, in fact, predetermined by a whole host of factors outside our immediate consciousness? It's a challenging thought, because if free will isn't quite what we think it is, then a lot of other things start to look a bit wobbly too, and nobody likes wobbly, especially when it comes to fundamental truths. Let's delve into the intricate web of society, that vast, interconnected network of people, rules, and expectations we all navigate daily. When we think of control, we often imagine something overt, like a stern policeman telling you, no, you absolutely cannot wear a traffic cone as a hat to this state dinner. And yes, that happens. But society's control is often far more subtle, far more insidious. It's less a slap on the wrist and more a gentle, persistent nudge in a particular direction. A direction you often don't even realize you're being nudged towards until you're halfway there, wondering how you ended up with a mortgage and a mild obsession with lawn care. Consider the significant decisions in life: what to study, what career to pursue, where to live, whether to start a family. Do you really think those decisions are made in a vacuum, solely by you and your brilliant inner thoughts? Of course not. Societal structures like the education system present you with a menu of acceptable paths. The media bombards you with images of what a successful or happy life looks like. The economy itself dictates what skills are valued and what jobs are available. You're free to choose, sure, but you're choosing from a carefully curated list, often designed to keep the whole societal machine chugging along smoothly. The illusion of choice is a powerful tool. You can pick any flavor of crisps you like, as long as it's one of the 20 varieties owned by 2 mega corporations. You can pursue any passion, as long as it can somehow be monetized or fits neatly into a pre-defined career box. This isn't necessarily some grand, evil conspiracy hatched in a smoky room. Often it's just the way complex systems evolve to maintain stability and predictability. But the outcome is the same. Your range of free choices is often narrower than you think, shaped by forces you rarely see. And it's not just the big things, it's the little things too. The clothes you wear, the way you speak, the hobbies you pick up. These are all influenced by the social currents around you. You might think you're a rugged individualist for liking craft beer and artisanal pickles, but you're also part of a very specific, very marketable demographic. Society doesn't always need a leash when it has trends and peer pressure. These invisible handcuffs can be surprisingly effective at keeping us all marching in roughly the same direction, all while believing we're forging our own unique trails. The government. That benevolent, or sometimes not so benevolent entity that we pay taxes to in exchange for roads that are perpetually under construction and politicians who promise the moon but deliver, well, more political commentary. One of the government's primary roles, beyond arguing with itself, is to regulate. And regulation, let's be honest, is just a polite word for controlling what you can and cannot do. They're like the ultimate house rules, but for an entire country. And the penalty for breaking them is often more severe than just being sent to your room without supper. Consider something as simple as taxes. The government decides what gets taxed and by how much. Want to discourage smoking? Slap a massive tax on cigarettes. Suddenly your free choice to puff away comes with a hefty financial penalty, nudging you towards a different decision. Want to encourage home ownership? Offer tax breaks for mortgage interest. Voila! The choice to buy a house becomes more attractive. These aren't suggestions, they are direct manipulations of the financial landscape designed to steer your behavior. It's choice architecture, and the government is the lead architect, often with a very large blueprint and a non-negotiable contract. Then there are laws and regulations that dictate almost every aspect of our lives. Food safety standards, traffic laws, building codes, environmental protections. You can't just decide to build a skyscraper out of old cheese boxes in your backyard, no matter how freely you've willed it. These rules are often there for good reasons, to prevent chaos, ensure safety, protect the vulnerable, but let's not kid ourselves. They are, fundamentally, limitations on your absolute freedom to choose any action you desire. Your free will bumps up against the legal code, and usually the legal code wins, unless you're a very, very wealthy corporation. But that's a whole other can of worms. And it's not just about stopping you from doing things, it's also about compelling you to do things. Mandatory education, for example, shapes the minds and future choices of entire generations by dictating what they learn and how they learn it. Social security contributions are another. The government frames these interventions as being for your own good or for the good of society, and maybe they are, but the point remains, a significant portion of your life's trajectory and daily decisions are influenced, guided, and sometimes outright dictated by governmental structures, all while you're still under the impression that you're the one holding the map. Section 5. The Culture Club dancing to someone else's tune without realizing it. If government control is the obvious, often grumpy bouncer at the door of your choices, then cultural norms are the subtle background music that makes you unconsciously tap your foot and order the same drink as everyone else. Culture is that collection of unspoken rules, shared beliefs, traditions, and values that tell us what's normal, what's acceptable, and what will get you weird looks at the family barbecue. And believe me, the fear of weird looks at the family barbecue is a powerful, powerful motivator. It's practically a cornerstone of Western civilization. Think about the big life milestones: get an education, find a partner, buy a house, have 2.4 children. How does one achieve 0.4 of a child anyway? Is it just a very small child? Are these universal human desires hardwired into our DNA, or are they cultural scripts handed down through generations, reinforced by media, celebrated in songs, and expected by your dear old Aunt Mildred? You're free not to follow this script, of course, but try telling your extended family you've decided to become a nomadic poet living in a yurt and see how free that choice feels when the well-meaning interventions begin. Cultural norms dictate so much of our daily behavior. The clothes we deem appropriate for work versus a party, the way we greet people, a handshake, a bow, an awkward half hug, the foods we eat and the foods we find repulsive. Insect protein, anyone? It's the future, apparently, but a culturally challenging one for many. These aren't laws written in stone, but the social pressure to conform can be immense. Deviating from the norm often invites judgment, ridicule, or even ostracization. And humans, being social creatures, generally don't enjoy being the odd one out. We crave belonging, and belonging often means adhering to the group's unwritten rules. This cultural programming starts early. From the toys we're given as children, dolls for girls, trucks for boys, still to the stories we're told, we absorb the values and expectations of our society. And the thing about these cultural controls is that they are often invisible to us precisely because they are so deeply ingrained. They feel less like external pressures and more like our own authentic desires. Of course, I want a bigger TV. Everyone wants a bigger TV. Is that you talking, or is it the relentless whisper of consumer culture that equates possessions with happiness? It's a tricky business, untangling your own will from the cultural weave. Section 6, decoding the system. It's not a conspiracy, it's just complicatedly annoying. So who or what is this system that's supposedly pulling our strings and limiting our free will? Is it a shadowy cabal of lizard people in bespoke suits meeting in an underground bunker to decide next year's avocado toast trends? Probably not, though frankly that would make for a much more exciting documentary. The reality is often less dramatic, but far more pervasive. The system is a complex interplay of economic forces, political structures, technological algorithms, media narratives, and ingrained social habits. It's not always centrally controlled. Sometimes it's just the emergent property of millions of individual actions and incentives, all nudging things in a particular direction. The mechanisms of control are varied and increasingly sophisticated. Advertising, for example, isn't just about showing you a product. It's about crafting a narrative, associating that product with your deepest desires for happiness, belonging, or status. Buy this shiny car, and you'll be adventurous and free. Never mind the traffic jams and car payments. Political campaigns use sophisticated data analytics to tailor messages that prey on your fears or appeal to your biases, guiding your vote. Social media algorithms create echo chambers, reinforcing your existing beliefs and making it harder to encounter different perspectives, subtly shaping your worldview one filtered post at a time. The hidden meanings are everywhere. The news you consume is framed in a certain way, highlighting some aspects of reality while downplaying others, influencing your perception of the world and your place in it. Educational curricula prioritize certain subjects and historical narratives, shaping national identity and future workforce skills. Even the layout of your supermarket is designed to influence your purchases, putting impulse buys at the checkout and essentials at the back. It's a constant barrage of subtle and not so subtle cues, all designed to guide your behavior, often towards outcomes that benefit those who designed the cues. And why does this system operate this way? Well, often it's about maintaining existing power structures. Economic systems want predictable consumers and workers. Political systems want compliant citizens. Social orders want stability, which often means discouraging radical deviation from the norm. Sometimes it's about profit, sometimes it's about efficiency. Rarely is it about maximizing your individual, untrammeled free will. Understanding these mechanisms doesn't mean you can instantly break free, but it does mean you can start to see the scaffolding around your choices, which is a pretty good first step to not bumping your head on it. Section 7, the respect racket. Some get VIP passes, others get the door slammed. Now, let's delve into a fascinating aspect of the free will versus system control debate respect, or more precisely, who gets the societal permission slip to exercise their free will robustly and who gets told to sit down and be quiet. Because, spoiler alert, the amount of perceived free will you're allowed to have is often directly tied to your position in the societal pecking order. It's like an airline loyalty program, but for autonomy. The more status points you have, based on wealth, race, gender, education, etc., the more legroom your choices get. Think about it. When a wealthy CEO makes a bold, unconventional business decision, they're often lauded as a visionary, a maverick, exercising their brilliant free will to innovate. But when someone from a marginalized community challenges the status quo or makes unconventional life choices, they're often labeled as troublemakers, irresponsible, or uppity. Same fundamental act of choosing a different path, vastly different societal responses. One is seen as a legitimate expression of agency, the other is a disruption to be managed or suppressed. This isn't accidental, it's how power structures reinforce themselves. Consider how different groups are treated by institutions. A person of color asserting their rights during a police stop might be met with aggression, their choice to speak up framed as defiance. A white person in a similar situation might be given more latitude, their concerns listened to more readily. This isn't to say every interaction is like this, but the patterns are there. The system is often designed to grant more presumptive respect and therefore more functional free will to those who already fit the dominant mold. Their choices are seen as more valid, more rational, more deserving of being unimpeded. This hierarchy of choice-worthiness is a critical component of systemic control. By subtly or not so subtly devaluing the agency of certain groups, the system makes it easier to manage them, to limit their options, and to maintain the existing social and economic order. If you can convince a group of people, or convince society about a group of people, that their choices are inherently less valuable or more dangerous, you've effectively curtailed their free will without ever needing to put up explicit barriers. It's a neat trick, and a deeply cynical one. And it means free will isn't just an abstract concept, it's a resource, unevenly distributed. This uneven distribution is not just a social construct, but is deeply rooted in our neurobiology and psychology, influencing how we perceive and exercise our autonomy. Section 8. Life's little nudges, how your choices might not be yours at all. Let's take a walk through a hypothetical day, shall we? Meet Alex. Alex wakes up because their smartphone alarm, set by an app designed to optimize sleep cycles based on circadian rhythms and sleep studies, goes off. First choice, hit snooze. The app gently discourages this with a slightly annoying tone, leveraging behavioral psychology to promote better sleep habits. Alex checks social media, curated by algorithms designed to maximize engagement, showing them posts from friends who seem to be living incredibly successful and photogenic lives. Subconscious nudge. Am I keeping up? Alex then chooses breakfast. Cereal box A boasts low-fat, cereal box B high-fiber. Both are heavily marketed by companies that have spent millions researching how to make their packaging appeal to Alex's demographic, using insights from consumer psychology and neuroscience. At work, Alex is given a set of tasks by their manager. Alex has some freedom in how to complete them, but the overall goals, deadlines, and expected outcomes are dictated from above. Lunchtime. Alex goes to a cafe where the menu is carefully designed. High-profit items at eye level, healthy options clearly marked to appeal to current trends influenced by nutritional science and market research. In the afternoon, Alex needs to buy a birthday gift. Online targeted ads, based on Alex's previous browsing history and demographic profile, pop up suggesting perfect gifts. Alex feels like they're making a thoughtful choice, but the options were pre-filtered, pre-selected by algorithms designed to predict consumer behavior. Evening comes. Alex decides to watch a movie. The streaming service's homepage is filled with recommendations for you, based on complex algorithms that know Alex's viewing habits better than Alex knows them. Is Alex freely choosing a movie or picking from a cleverly narrowed down list designed to maximize engagement for the platform? Even the choice to relax is being subtly guided. Throughout the day, Alex has made hundreds of choices, but how many of them were truly unconstrained, originating purely from Alex's independent will versus being responses to external cues, suggestions, and systemic designs? This isn't to say Alex is a mindless automaton. Of course not. There's still thought, preference, and personality involved. But the environment in which Alex operates is saturated with influences, nudges, and constraints. From the news Alex consumes, shaped by editorial choices and algorithms, to the products Alex buys, shaped by marketing and availability, to the social interactions Alex has, shaped by cultural norms and expectations. These aren't dramatic, heavy-handed controls, but 1,000 tiny pressures, like water shaping a stone over time. The free choices are made, but within a landscape that's been meticulously landscaped by others, influenced by a myriad of scientific insights into human behavior. Section 9. So, are we doomed, or can we at least grab the steering wheel for a bit? After all that talk of systems, controls, and the potential flimsiness of free will, you might be feeling a bit like a character in a Kafka novel, bewildered, slightly paranoid, and wondering if you should just go back to bed and let the universe sort itself out. Is that it then? Are we all just cogs in a giant, indifferent machine destined to play out pre-programmed roles? Should we just throw our hands up and declare, well, it's all an illusion anyway, past the government-approved, culturally sanctioned potato chips? Probably not. That would be a bit bleak, even for me. The first and perhaps most powerful thing that can emerge from understanding these systems of control is awareness. Simply recognizing that your choices are influenced by societal pressures, government policies, cultural norms, and cunning algorithms is a huge step. It's like realizing you're in the Matrix. Okay, maybe not that dramatic, and hopefully with fewer sentient machines trying to turn you into a battery. But seeing the architecture of control allows you to start questioning it. Why am I being shown this ad? Why is this career path considered more successful? Who benefits from me believing this? This awareness doesn't magically grant you absolute, unadulterated free will, like flipping a switch and suddenly becoming impervious to all external influence. That's probably not how it works, unless you're a hermit living on a remote mountaintop, and even then you're still influenced by, weather. But what awareness does is give you a bit more agency. It allows you to make more conscious decisions, to push back against certain pressures, to choose options that might be less conventional, or to simply understand why you're making the choices you are. It's about adding a critical filter to the information and influences you absorb. Ultimately, maybe the debate about whether true free will exists in some pure philosophical sense is less important than how we navigate the choices we have within the constraints we face. Perhaps real freedom isn't about being entirely unconstrained, because who truly is, but about the conscious effort to understand the forces shaping us and to strive for the most authentic choices possible within that framework. It's about recognizing the currents and deciding whether to swim with them, against them, or to try and find a different bloody river altogether. And, of course, critically examining everything, especially this essay, and naturally, don't forget to vote. Seriously, it's one of the few levers they actually let us pull. Sometimes